Hello, I am back again, and today with my December wrap-up. So, I was able to finish 4 books for this month, which I'm surprised by, because these last couple of months I've been very busy with school and marching band. So that's one nice thing you can learn about me. Yes, I'm in band. Yes, marching band is a sport. Try and fight me about that. Anyway, so yeah, I can't wait because most of these were good. Like the lowest in this is just a 3-star, but everything else is great. But before we get into that, I would like to say that TBRs for me will be an issue because I never know what I'm going to read, and I don't like planning out what I'm going to read for the month because again, school and band are going to get in the way, and I may only be able to read 1 or 2 books for each month for the next few months. So this is probably the best it's going to get. Anyway, yeah, so TBRs I'm probably never going to do. So, let's get started. So the first one actually took me over a month to finish because I was just so distracted with work, and the reason that it's on this wrap-up to begin with is because I finished it on the 5th of December. So, the first one is Tale of the Body Thief, the 4th book in Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles. Now, I love this series. I honestly recommend it because I think it's one of the best vampire book series out there. Anne Rice's writing is very beautiful, and I absolutely love the vampire characters in here. They all have their own personalities. They're all angsty, but in their own ways. They all have their own problems and their own issues. But it's just like, because I've heard of like the Vampire Academy, and we all know about Twilight, and probably so many other vampire books out there, but so far this is my favorite. So, this is the 4th book, and our main character is Lestat. Basically what happens is this, in this book are the vampire Lestat, who has been the main character throughout most of the book so far, finds a body thief, the title, as the title says, and the body thief offers him just like, hey, if you let me have your body, you can be in this one and experience being human again. And I'll only be in it for a week. Of course that doesn't happen, because being in a vampire body, it's like interesting. And how Anne Rice writes about these vampires, because in Dracula they're written as bloody monsters that prey on humans. In Twilight they're seen as, I don't know. I don't know how they're described, but in this they're described as like beautiful but dangerous gods. It's like how the Heathers are worshipped, but you're also scared of them. That's basically how I can put it. But this book, and even though I love the series so far, I gave this one 3 stars. Because from the beginning, when this choice was first put to Lestat, I knew it was like, nothing good is going to come out of this if he does it. And we all know he's going to do it. Basically, the formula I've seen throughout all of the books is that Lestat does something stupid, and he has to suffer the consequences of that stupid decision. That's basically been the book so far. And with this one, it's like, there's no change. But the results are even worse than the last few books have been, I think. Probably not worse than the 3rd one, but... But I just really think, just like, I agreed with all of his friends that were saying, don't do it. Do not do it, even though we know you're gonna do it, please don't. Even I was on their side. I was like, Lestat, you probably shouldn't do it this time. But he does it, and of course, the consequences are not good. Especially with this one. It is bad. Because even the vampires, once he realizes that he's stuck, they all turn against him. And then he gets a human involved in this, and just the way it ends, I'm just like, oh my god, what did you think was going to happen? And so that's why I gave it 3 stars. It would have been lower if it weren't for Anne Rice's way with character development and with how she writes, because her writing is beautiful, but I still sincerely recommend reading Vampire Chronicles. Alright, next one. So this one I read for book club. It is Aurora Rising, and it's the first in the Aurora cycle. Apparently the sequel is out. I'm trying to get my ratings up. Okay, I gave this 4 stars. Let me first talk about the plot. So it's in the year 2380, I'm reading off the back. And the graduating cadets of Aurora Academy are being assigned their first missions. And so it's a group of people, and they all are going on this journey. And actually it all begins with Tyler Jones when it's like he misses the draft because he misses a draft that was basically his graduation, and he's going to, because he was nervous the night before, and he was going out into space, just driving around until he finds this lost spaceship in the middle of nowhere, and he finds a girl in there that's still alive, known as Aurora. And that's actually her face right there. Like, look at this cover. And it all just goes from there. Because once she arrives, a lot of shit goes down. Pardon my language. And also pardon that you can only see my head. I have to be on my legs at the moment because the location of my iPad is weird. And so, I don't want to give anything else away, but it's a sci-fi fantasy. It was very adventurous. It was a lot of fun. I love the characters. I gave this book 4 stars, and like I even found the romance is cute. And what made the book for me is that there was an openly bisexual character in there. I just found like certain quotes and I was like, oh my god, you're openly bisexual, yes! It was beautiful representation, even though it was very subtle, but I was just like, I loved it. So I'm very happy. 4 stars. And the only reason I read it was for book club, but I'm so glad I did. Now the next one. Stardust by Neil Gaiman. So, I gave this one 4 stars, but I think I'm gonna put it down to 3. And so basically, I found this a bit like a fairy tale satire, because knowing Neil Gaiman, because he had made Good Omens, which was a satire around Armageddon, and he's made, and like in some of his books, you can just find a bit of satire in there, and his humor is it takes a little bit getting used to with every book I start with him, because I've learned from a video that he's more of a writing chameleon, sort of. So, in this, it's more fairy tale-esque writing. I can see that he was trying to come off a bit like the Brothers Grimm. And that's just in my opinion. And so, basically what happens is that there's this young boy named Tristan Thorn, and he lives in this village called Wall, and he's trying to profess his love to this young lady named Victoria, who is having none of it. But then one night, they see a shooting star, and she says, like, if you want my hand in marriage, go get that. And he was like, okay, I'll go do it. And it's just this entire journey to get this star who turns into a woman, a very lovely woman, and he tries to get her back to the wall. Of course she's going to protest, and then that's where all the adventures ensue. And so, instantly after finishing this, I had watched the movie, and I remember I had given it 4 stars, but then when I watched the movie, I was like, there are some flaws with this that actually stick out more than they did. Because, and this is, like, old, it took a while before the movie was made, so when I gave it 4 stars, I was just kind of like, oh, it's not bad. And then when I watched the movie, I was like, this is so much better than the book. And, like, I know people have their, like, people are always just like, no, the books are always better. And it's like, here's the thing. There are going to be moments where the movie is going to be better than the book, and this is one of them. And I think I would say, like, some of the problems I had were the beginning was very slow. I had to, like, really push myself to get through the very first chapter, and I'm sitting down, my feet are going numb, and so, and then there were just a few parts that probably should have been longer, some that shouldn't have been so long, because the movie extended on certain parts of the story when the book didn't, and I realized that those parts really should have been, like, written more about, and it just kind of made the story a bit bland. Even the ending, I was kind of like, oh well. But anyway, that was Stardust. I still recommend Neil Gaiman. He's one of my favorite authors. Some of his other stuff is really good, though. Next up, this one, Carrie by Stephen King. Now, I have seen a 1-star review for this, and I gave myself low expectations, even though I actually heard mixed reviews about it. But I actually got this book done in 4 days. And that's mainly because it's not that long, but I absolutely loved it. For Stephen King's first novel, very good. And I don't know what the other person was thinking, but I thought the story was great. The pacing was good. The suspense was amazing. I loved learning about the characters, mainly Carrie, and all the issues with her mom. Like, everything with her mom was like, oh my god. And the only problems I had were very minor. The first one I had a problem with was Billy Nelson and Chris Hardinson, who are both bullies and are, like, both the cause of this big moment that just, like, destroys this entire city. And I felt like they were written as evil just to be evil. Like, there's nothing behind why they act like that. Because in the musical, Chris is far more developed. You actually see a more three-dimensional version of her. It's just like both in the movie and in the book, she's very bland. She just comes off as this airhead, and then Billy just comes off as this generic asshole that no one is going to like at all. And then the other one was when it came to the climax, and, like, the big moment, which a lot of people know about, but I'm not gonna talk about it too much, because for people who haven't seen it yet, or don't know much about Carrie at all. So, like, what happened as it was going up, like, the suspense was really good, but when it came to the climax, it started with the outside perspectives, and that kind of ruined it for a little bit. But then when it went to Carrie's perspective of the climax, it got better again. And it was just like, I guess the outside perspectives just weren't working, and it's all unreliable narration for what's going on. But when you're in Carrie's head, it's like, oh my god. It's really cool. And then it just continues to go further and further downhill. The more I read, more chaos kept on happening. And then just when I saw, like, the effects of that one night, it was like, Jesus Christ. And at one point, there was actually a cliffhanger in this. And I was talking to my mom about it, and she was probably thinking that maybe he might have made a sequel for this, but knowing him and all of his other ideas, and also he doesn't really like making book series, he didn't make another one. But that's okay. This book is really good on its own. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. So that's my book wrap up, and my voice is getting tired, and I don't know when I'm going to post this, but hopefully soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and bye.